Yeah.
So, do you want to go ahead and start with Steve Carpenter case?
Yeah.
Let me just open up the actual case. I have everything else opened. Okay. So let me remind myself quickly what this business was. Oh, okay. It was the investing one. I just get them all so confused.
Yeah, no, it's a lot to read.
And keep straight.
Yeah, to keep, but you keep your head on edge.
Yeah. So they gave us like 4 questions that we need to talk to as a group.
Yeah.
So if you're ready with that, the first one was the entrepreneur Carpenters identified in the late 2005 promising in making this assessment judgment of Carpenter's implementation plan and the focus solely on the potential of the business model that was initially proposed. I kind of said that it was, but he put too much focus down one channel that he lost the customer channel. He was trying to get the algorithms and everything to work so perfectly that he was never able to focus on the customer. And I feel like that's kind of his failure, was he didn't get a market share strong enough because the customers didn't feel like the product applied to them enough.
Exactly. That's why I wrote did not focus on the front end. He just focused on the back end, which is not completely wrong, but he needed to focus more on the front end to make it more user friendly and appeal to the customers that he was aiming for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the what's his name? The guy who came in later. I can't remember the guy's name that he hired and kind of helped fix everything.
Oh, the marketing guy.
Yeah, Tony.
It was kind of a little bit late in the 2008.
Yeah, Tony is his name.
So Tony, yes.
So, and that's what Tony came in and did. He's like, "Yo, let's fix this. Let's fix the front end, and let's apply the algorithm instead of trying to get everything to work that way."
Yeah. He said they focused like 80% on the back end or that part, and 20% on only the customers. But he said, let's switch that to the opposite, and said, you need to focus on 80% on the customers, and then 20% on the back end. And what I feel like also in the beginning is that he didn't really he could have captured this. If you go back to the dresses, the ladies with the dresses, they went to Harvard University, and they trying to do some different test groups to try out the product and stuff, like the feedback. In this case, he doesn't really do that. He doesn't, get a few different. He doesn't really understand the investment industries too well yet. He's very technical, and he's very smart, and he working on the process of his website. But if he would have focused a little bit more of finding or trying to find a smaller group already in the beginning that are doing investments, and then he could figure out a little bit better and understand them a little better, and find which one he should focus on. Because you had the one that are investing at nighttime, that you had the ones that are relaxed, that you're only focusing once a month on looking at their investments, and then you had the ones that are doing really daily and hourly. So if he had focused on more on that in the beginning, I think it would have helped him, and it would have solved a lot of the problems that came later on.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess the next question is, what were the most important assumptions behind Cake's initial business model? What did Carpenter do to test these assumptions? Could he have done more to do these tests?
Well, you have 4 parts into this business model. You have the customer value proposition, and then you have the market plan, and you have technology and operation, and then the cash flow. Now, the first part we already mentioned was the customer value preparation, which was not, he didn't focus too much on that part. Marketing plan, he hired the marketing people during the launch period, but he kind of prolonged the beta part. He didn't focus so much on the focus groups because he felt like they were not going to give good feedback anyway. He was keep asking for more capital before getting revenue.
Yeah.
On the technology part of the operation, he had like we talked about earlier, that he had a good amount of time on tech and the back end, but he didn't focus not enough on the simple things. And he also relied on big firms, like investment firms. He didn't care so much about the small investment firms that small investment people would have used.
Yeah.
And the cash flow was the last one. He was keep raising capital, and he had a monthly cost of $300,000 per month, which is outrageous. So, and he didn't have any money coming in, so he didn't have any revenue. So
yeah. And so, like, something that I mean, like, all that, and then he had three main ideas, and the three of them, he wanted to produce something that investors would think that everyone needs, that it would simplify investing, and it would allow people to share their insights with each other. And all those three ideas were they weren't failures. The only good idea out of it was the whole algorithm. They should have built that algorithm and then sold it to a company. Yeah. They should have tried to build the algorithm, build a company, and get sold out. They should have ignored the whole friends and family thing. They should have just built an algorithm that pulls it all together and allows the individual to be suggested what stocks to buy and when to buy and sell, rather than.
But that's one thing that that you're talking about there. Again, he didn't understand the investment industry very well. If you're an investor, how many people are really sharing their
secrets?
It's for them, it's a secret, because they are usually, I would say, selfish people. They are out to make the most money themselves.
Well, yeah.
So
but they're relying on odds, and if people flood the market, it destroys the investment. So say today Apple drops 80%, and then all these investors buy, so the program tells everyone to go buy Apple, it will pull Apple right back up. Today. So therefore that investor just lost the whole thing because it fixed itself because of another outside source. So it's adding another variable, and people don't want to share that variable. People like me want a little bit of advice in the beginning on how to get started, but after you get going, you don't need advice anymore. You just need an avenue to have all of your stocks put together. So
I mean, it's one thing to learn about, taking care of your money and stuff like that, but investing in investment, I wouldn't sit down with my parents and talk about that. They wouldn't sit down and say, "Oh, you need to invest in these stocks and stuff like that." Usually, that's not what you do.
Exactly. So, I would go to an investment, person, hire somebody, and they're making a percentage of what you're.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing is the people who have that information and that knowledge want to make money off it.
Yes.
You know, if
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing, I'll charge you a percentage of what you're going to earn
Yeah.
off the investment just to learn how to do it. And people
Yeah.
are willing to do that.
Yeah.
So the next question, assess Carpenter's decision to sell Cake's assets. Should he have done this sooner? Should have he gotten a subscription product more time to develop? And I kind of originally said that he should have skipped some steps to avoid headache, but that's kind of hard to know in hindsight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to know, like, oh, this is going to be a failure. I should do this. So you have to do some headaches, and it is his first one. So I don't know if he should have done anything necessarily different, obviously, but rather I think he's learned from it, and next time he can have a better idea, like, oh, I should not try to build a business. I should just build an algorithm and then sell that, or
Yeah.
or something different. Like that was my thought. What did you kind of respond to that question, or how did you?
I mean, first, I think, I'm looking at a little bit about the first part, reading it until you get to all the problems and stuff, is that you feel like, okay, this sounds like a good idea. This, could be a potential, a good investment for him to build on. But then you start reading a little bit more about the problem, and you then understand, okay, he's drowning a little bit, and he's forgetting the most important, and that is the customer.
Exactly.
And he doesn't learn that until 2008, and he already worked on it for this company 2 to 3 years until he realized it, and he already drained the company with a lot of money before he realized, or having someone that are poking at him and say, hey, what about the customer?
Yeah.
That's the one you need to focus on, not your idea.
Well,
sometimes you have a good idea, but you cannot really 100% launch it if you are not first off doing a little bit of a study and learning a little bit more about the customers, learning more about the market, because that's who you are going to focus on. You cannot just focus on yourself. I mean, in a few cases, you brought up Apple. Apple actually, they created the market.
exactly.
It was not. Their product was not in need of their products, but they created a need of their products. But I mean, they were doing good in the 90s or 80s. I don't remember when it was they were doing good. All of a sudden, they just disappeared. They were almost bankrupt. And then, of course, what's his name, came back.
Jobs.
And Jobs, and he changed the whole concept of it, and brought it back to where it is today. So
and so like the other thing I was thinking, he kind of lost insight of who his customer was, because your customer isn't always individuals. Sometimes your customer is the person who's going to buy you out in the future.
Yes.
So he was trying to focus on a product that could be bought out in 10 years and focus on the customers rather than, okay, let's build a product that somebody wants to buy from us, or let's build a product that the customers love so much that 10 years down the road, the consumer would buy. So he's tried to spend the whole time like trying to do both customers, where he should have stuck with one and he would have made the back end sell. So it's not that he doesn't lack experience, because you read his resume and stuff, and he had tons of experience. Like he was qualified to do this. I think it was just a business endeavor that failed.
Yeah. He sold it to E-Trade in January 2010. I looked it up. Now, of course, it's disclosed how much they sold it for, but it was E-Trade who bought them. So
yeah, but I can't imagine it was for more than a couple million. Especially with,
you would think they would cover at least all their investment and cost, because
Well, they can
Yeah,
file bankruptcy. So,
true.
uh, I guess the last question was, Cake, a good entrepreneur failure for Carpenter? Was this defined as a good failure? What should Carpenter have learned from this experience? And I think we've kind of talked about this, that yeah, it was a good failure. It could have been prevented, but it was a learning experience for now him to go out and build a new company.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, um, yeah. I think it could be successful, and his new invention that he was going to go into. I think he learned from this and say, hey, not going to do the same mistakes again. So
yeah, that's
because I mean
interesting.
he was surrounded not only himself with a lot of knowledge, he surrounded himself with people who knew where they were doing, except the marketing guy came in a little bit too late. So
Yeah, interesting. Hold on a sec. I'm looking up something about this guy quickly.
yeah,
Groove.
I mean because
So
if you
he,
look at if you look at the numbers, they are very successful having the hits coming to their website. They just don't know how to turn the customers into or the hits into customers.
so he now is the CEO of a company called Groove.
Glue.
Groove. Groovo.
Oh,
G
Groove.
R V O. So they're like a learning company. Interesting. I was just kind of seeing what he was up to.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I guess the initial question is, that's weird because, like, on the quiz it said, should they graphically focus or sector focus? When you had to take a side on the poll.
Yeah.
So I guess, what is our hypothesis? I just don't understand what the question is now. Huh.
Which question are you looking at?
So you know how, like, on the write-up, we have a sec. Let me see what Bruce just wrote. Hey, I'm still getting home from the camp, but could do it in an hour. So I just got back to service. Is that possible? Um, so you know how we have to do the write-up, like the analyst, the questions that we came up with, the hypothesis, proof of action, and alternatives?
Yeah.
So what are you saying for, like, your hypothesis? And that's kind of what we have to decide as a group in closing on this one.
Well, the hypothesis is what could he have done different, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I guess. I mean, it's not really clear with this one because he sold the company and we know what ended up happening.
yeah.
Um,
They're not talking about he sold it though. That's something I looked up. We don't know that in this case.
no, it does. It says that he sold the
No.
assets.
Oh, he did. I
At the
missed that
very
one.
end. At the very,
Uh,
very end, it says, here, where did I put that thing? Um, he came to his team. Yeah, he came to his team and brought them all together and was really black and white with them, or transparent with them, and said, um, that we're going to sell all of our assets. And that's all it kind of said.
oh, okay.
So
I must have missed it.
it's all good. No, I was just trying to read it. Okay, sorry. All these text. can you do the first case study so I'd have time to meet with another group, or I could call in? Can you call a number from Hangouts? Patrick, what time do you have to leave?
Around 4 o'clock, so I have time. So
How much time? I guess just like what time is that? How many hours do you have left?
we are 2 hours. You're 2 hours behind me.
Okay, so
So
it's
4 o'clock my time is 2 o'clock your time.
okay. So you have a couple hours.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to see if we can get Bruce on here. So I guess for my hypothesis, based off what we just talked about, I think the hypothesis is Steve Carpenter should have focused on the sector, and focused on getting it to work really, really good in the Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Focusing on the consumer, focusing on all of that. And once all of that is very, very strong, then being able to go geographic focus, because he's not even like producing a profit in his local area. How does he think he's going to produce a profit across the United States or into other countries?
Yeah.
So, pretty. It's interesting though. Cakes ranking method.
Well, I feel actually, I mean, he didn't really focus on what he was talking about, getting advertising. You know, there's 3 steps that he was talking about: advertising, selling the data or the database, and what else was it?
Yeah.
So I feel like he's not really holding on to his first
gave us
plan.
for talking about the company stuff. I know. We talked about it for like 20 minutes each company, and then we voted this morning, and that was like 45 minutes.
What's up, man?
That was a lot of work for not much discussion. Did you guys decide pretty easily?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just
we can
do a
hear you.
ton of
Yeah, I
background.
can hear. I can hear you guys.
Are you on the bus?
But I read the case, so
Sweet. So we were kind of just like wrapping up the Steve Carpenter one, just talking about like a hypothesis. This one we didn't really come up with like a ton of Excel information, just because there's not a lot of numbers, and we already know that he's sold out. So we're just kind of coming up with a hypothesis of what he could have done different and where he lost his focus, which made the company go downhill.
yeah, because it did seem like in the case like
Benjamin. Sorry, my daughter is curious about you guys.
they found out who their customer. They burned through millions of dollars.
I can't hear everything.
Yeah.
You're in and out, Bruce.
I just texted him. I don't know. So
He's the,
yeah,
I'm in and out.
yeah, it's
Can you
pretty
hear me
bad.
now?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Not really.
I can hear Benjamin.
Yeah, perfect. I'm just trying to think if there's anything that we can like put into Excel to make him think that we did something. Patrick. Because like I'm looking at these numbers. Maybe I don't understand them, but
Some part of it you have the 300,000 per month.
Because what we could do
have
is
some-
just project. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
If he would have started focusing on paid subscribers, what he would have had in revenue by year 3, and if he could have perhaps like had a profitable company instead of having to sell it out, you know, because
yeah.
and then they like kind of like what he was saying. His regret was is that.
Hey Bruce, you want to call me? And then I'll just put my phone next to my computer. I'm gonna call him.
Like show what it could have been.
See if calling him works better.
Hello?
Hey, let's see if this works better because we can't even understand like half of what you're saying.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the internet's probably terrible out here.
Yeah. Patrick, can you hear him better?
Yes, I can hear him now.
Okay. What were you saying, Bruce, about what we could put on an Excel document?
I was just saying, like, what we could do is we could put out, like, the units of, or, like, kind of project. Because, like, the main problem in the scenario that they're saying is, like, that he monetized way too late, and then he took venture capital without figuring out the problem. But eventually he had, like, 60,000 subscribers and, like, 8,000 paying. So we could, like, make a model to, like, project what he could have been making had he started, like, at the very beginning with, like, focusing on the customer needs and turning them into paying subscribers, and then see if it would be a profitable scenario, you know?
Yeah, but do we know like the cost that they're incurring, either a fixed cost or a variable cost, so that we could figure out like
You have
If-
the 300,000 per month. That's pretty much the only one that we know of until.
Does it say their cost in the case?
well,
It might say their burn rate.
it talks about the 300,000 is what Patrick just said. But-
Okay. Because, I mean, because we could even just do it from the standpoint, is there, like, because even if we can get to an exact cost, I mean, we can say, like, I mean, at least in this scenario, there's a prayer that they could get back to, you know, get back the venture capitalists their money, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause I think at 8,000 subscribers, it's not going to do anything, you know?
Yeah, and what was it? $100 a year?
Yeah, it's something like that. I have to look at it. But
Okay, so let's try to just make up, even if it's not like as nice of an Excel document as normal. Patrick, let me turn this on for you so you can see this,
Yeah.
and then let's just kind of build. You know, if it's whether it's just like cost, subscribers, and then paying subscribers. And they gave us the burn rate, meaning like how much it was costing a month, correct?
Yeah. If they could make up for the burn rate, like that might be. I mean, it's still a valuable model, you know.
Yeah. So the burn rate was 300,000 a year. I mean, a month. Per month. Number of subscribers. Can you find that, Patrick?
I'm trying to look at it. Subscribers.
Okay.
So now it depends on what. You have on Exhibit 8.
Okay, let me flip to Exhibit 8. That's 10. There's 8. Why is the one we always need? Oh, so there's an exhibit on page. Exhibit 12 is 2009. So that's probably a little more updated.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's dollars. Total revenue. So we could copy that and then pull numbers off it.
Yeah.
Comprising revenue, premium revenue, total revenue. So total customers paying. Wow, their refund rate is awful.
What's their refund rate?
And like August, they refund 30%. August, September, October of 2009, the last 3 months, they refund 30% of new subscribers.
That's insane.
That's awful.
That is awful.
And then repeating visits go 60%, 40%, 40%. Total paying is less than 1%.
Yeah. That has some serious issues.
Yeah. So
That's
registration.
crazy that he was able to raise so much money, though.
I know. Because, well, and that's what Patrick and I were talking about. What we were saying is he should have focused all his time and his money on producing an algorithm that does this rather than trying to produce an algorithm, a product, a business, and all this stuff. And he just overwhelmed himself. So if he would have built an algorithm and then sold it to a company that builds a company around that algorithm, that would have been better than building an algorithm and trying to get customers while you're still building the thing.
Yeah, that's true. We should just figure out what the customers wanted or what they were willing to pay for in the first place, you know?
Exactly. So, if their burn rate is 300,000 a month, and even if we look at like total premium or total paid, 36, 13, 35, 85, 91, 14. Yeah, they're so all over the place. You can't even make like a standard.
All over the place with what?
Total paying customers.
Okay.
In June, so month to month, it goes 36, and then it goes 13, and then it goes 185, and then it goes to 91, and then back down to 14. So the fluctuation is like extreme.
Well, in any scenario, that's pretty pathetic, you know?
Yeah.
Like, even if you're selling lemonade,
Yeah.
But I think the reason why it's happening is because people are coming into the website, they're trying it out, they find it is not working very well, they are leaving.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they don't like what they see. I'm not going to stay. I'm going somewhere else to use it, to use another website. So
I think I'm just gonna like on my paper, I'm just gonna take exhibit 12, and I'm gonna just copy and put it into my thing in my document, and then just kind of explain how these numbers fluctuating so much cause so much concern, and that he wasn't able to provide a product to the customers that they liked.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe some person who's smarter than me can make sense of this whole thing, but it doesn't make any sense to me.
What were like some of the questions they had for the discussion stuff? Where did we go with this?
Yeah, we went through it talked about his opportunity, his business model, should if he sold the assets sooner, and did he learn from this opportunity? So things that we've kind of talked about with you still. I kind of feel like we've beaten the heck out of this one. What do you
feel like what?
I feel like we've gone over this one as much as we really can. Do you have any other thoughts, Patrick?
no, I think we have analyzed it pretty well.
So, Bruce, I can send you a picture of like the questions and how we kind of answered them. I kind of took notes on that so that you can kind of review that if you want.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I'm just gonna text you a screenshot of it. Hopefully it makes sense. I kind of was typing and talking, so I just sent that to you.
You can send it to me too if you want.
I just sent it in the group chat.
Oh, okay, good.
Where was that? I don't know what happened to Bruce. Let's call him again.
You guys live in Idaho, that's why.
Yeah, and he's driving.
Yeah. You are out in the boonies.
And the boonies. Hey, it's cheap. It's cheap, man. It's cheap. Okay, so I feel comfortable with that. I feel like I could write a synopsis with that information. Let me just post that onto. Oh wait, no, I want to put this onto here. Here's Bruce. Hey, man. Hello.
hey, sorry.
You
I
good?
just went from a hill, but my connection is going to improve. We're getting closer to Rexburg, so.
Yeah, all good, man. So, I think we're gonna switch over to the next one.
Okay, and so your guys' final decision was, did you say that he should sell that sooner, or he shouldn't sell the asset sooner?
Well, that's not really that's not the two questions.
Oh, what's the two questions then?
Well, like when you took the poll, it said, should have they graphically focused or sectorally focused? So should have they focused internally or should they focused on expanding? And we all kind of talked about focusing internally. Yeah, no, it's obvious. They've got so many freaking red flags.
It cannot be more red flags.
Exactly. I would not invest that company with a 10-inch pole. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I would think too. Okay.
So I wonder if we need to like cancel this group hangouts so that they're separated.
Probably should.
Okay. Patrick, I'm going to send you a link right away.
Okay.
This way we have them separated. So I guess we could timestamp it. Let's just stop broadcasting.
Yeah, it's probably better to separate it.
Okay. I'll call you. I'll send you an email right now.